Michael Jordan wasn't all that good of a defender. Facts or cap?
That's a fact.
Oh, Lord.
That's a fucking fact.
And what leads you to believe this?
Crazy.
I just feel like his dominance on the offensive end just took over anything he did on the court. If it came to defense, like guys like you said, Kenyon Martin, Rasheed Wallace, and all these guys who really are defensive players. I'm gonna take advice from them before I take advice from Mike when it comes to the defense end. But that doesn't mean he didn't play defense or anything like that. I just feel like, the first person I'm going to about defense probably like Gary Payton or, guys like that. So I don't consider him like this great defensive player to me. I just think overall he's just dominant.
When we're thinking about Michael Jordan, when there's a key stop to be made, he's making it, right? Snapping back on, Karl Malone, right? To get that steal, to go win the game, right? Making the block, right? He was the actual net guy.
Okay.
As an individual guard, Pippen was a better defender on the ball.
Right.
Right? He was a better defender on the ball. Michael Jordan awareness of defense was great. A Michael Jordan wouldn't guard, right? He wouldn't guard a Kawhi Leonard, or he wouldn't guard, let's say, LeBron James if there's a Vando on the court, right? You're going to put him on Vando, and he's
so
just
good at that.
Then he's going to say, all right, Vando only takes 2 shots a game. I'm going to roam. Now you have Michael Jordan roaming during the game, right? That's not what you wanted, right? So he's the one sitting there netting, coming back, snapping back, because his guy's only shooting 2 shots a game. So when he had guys like that, so why you think he makes think about when he made his first all-defensive team. It's the year Scottie Pippen comes to the game.
Okay.
Got it.
Now, he wasn't considered a defensive player until Scottie Pippen comes, because now him and Scottie Pippen can do exactly what when he's on the ball, Scottie Pippen, you follow me. Scottie Pippen, when you have the ball, I'm netting everything up, right? So they had a great system. So he's no different than like a Drew Holiday, where I'm the net guy. I'm making sure this guy don't come. What's the name? Patrick Ewing likes to go this way. I'm going to come this way. But if you try to take him off the dribble man to man, right? That's where his exposure was when you had high level guys. Remember in the 80s, you didn't have 3-and-D guys. You didn't have the 3-level guys where he has to guard you shooting at 3. Like, for the most part, like let's say John Starks, right? John Starks didn't dribble like that. So when John Starks pump fake, he didn't take them off the. Where's John Starks going, right? Like, think about what moves did they have in it?
Brandon Jennings sparked a wildfire the moment he sat on Gil's arena and casually claimed that Michael Jordan wasn't a great defender. A comment so bold it didn't just spark debate, it scraped at the core of basketball history. Questioning Jordan's defense isn't just another hot take. It challenges one of the most concrete pillars of his legacy. Because if there's anything just as unforgettable as his scoring, it's the way he terrorized opponents on the other end of the court. We're talking about a player with 9 all-defensive first-team selections and a Defensive Player of the Year trophy, an honor neither Kobe Bryant nor LeBron James ever earned, being reduced to just a scorer. People conveniently overlook that before Jordan became the league's most feared offensive weapon, he was dismantling teams everywhere on the floor. Go back to 1988. Jordan didn't simply dominate with 35 points per game on his way to MVP. He was a complete two-way force who controlled the game in every direction. Jordan didn't just win the DPOY in 1988. He took it while leading the league in scoring, building a one-man club that almost no legend in NBA history can claim. Because being the most feared scorer and the most feared defender in the same season is a level of dominance few have ever touched. It wasn't only about awards, either. It was the fear he put into elite opponents like Clyde Drexler, Dominique Wilkins, and Karl Malone, superstars who weren't scared of anyone, yet always had to prepare for Jordan jumping passing lanes, swatting shots from impossible angles, and suffocating entire offenses with relentless pressure. Saying Jordan wasn't a good defender is like saying Ali couldn't take a hit or Maradona couldn't thread a pass. It's not just inaccurate, it's basketball blasphemy, because Jordan wasn't simply a scoring machine, he was a complete two-way force who controlled the game in every possible way. Jordan wasn't just a defender. He was a predator who could strip you of your confidence, rhythm, and pride on both ends of the floor. And his defensive legacy isn't just in the stats. it lives in the nightmares of everyone who tried scoring on him. The receipts are undeniable: 9 all-defensive first-team selections and a 1988 Defensive Player of the Year award, a trophy guards were never supposed to touch, yet Jordan rewrote the rules by putting up 3.2 steals and 1.6 blocks per game at just 6 feet 6 inches. Those numbers alone would define most careers, but for him it was simply another season, one where he also averaged 35 points a night. Think about the psychological beating that dealt to opponents. The same man cooking you for buckets was also the one shutting you down when you tried to answer back. That isn't just dominance. That's a level of humiliation only the truly great can impose. Jordan's defensive dominance wasn't some one-time explosion. It was a yearly guarantee, stamped on the all-defensive first team over and over because everyone in the league understood there was never a moment to relax when he was on the floor. He saw plays before they unfolded, shut down angles that looked open to any other eyes, and controlled possessions like he was pulling invisible strings. People love to argue that Scottie Pippen was the Bulls' best on-ball defender, and while Pippen was undeniably brilliant, that's the wrong debate. Elite defense isn't just about staying glued to your man, it's about destroying momentum and delivering the stop that changes everything. And more often than not, it was Jordan making that game-breaking play. Look back at the 1997 Eastern Conference Finals when Tim Hardaway, one of the quickest guards alive, tried to attack Jordan, only to get stripped and lose control of the moment. Or revisit the 1991 Finals when Jordan didn't defer the challenge of guarding Magic Johnson to Pippen, but took the responsibility himself, proving again that when a game needed saving, the stop usually came from him. Jordan shutting down Magic Johnson, the 6'9" architect of Showtime, wasn't some fluke. It was pure willpower and flawless defensive instincts. The same qualities he showed in the 1989 Craig Elo game, where everyone remembers the shot but forgets the defensive stops that put Chicago in position to win in the first place. This wasn't luck, it was a repeat pattern, a trademark of who Jordan was, a superstar scorer who could suffocate you on the other end every single season, a combination so rare it practically exists in its own atmosphere. His biggest defensive moments didn't just pad a resume, they helped build the legend we still talk about today. That strip on Karl Malone in Game 6 of the 1998 Finals, the one that set up the iconic last shot, is proof that his greatest offensive moment wouldn't exist without his defensive brilliance first. Go back again to the 1991 Finals and you'll see him disrupting Magic's rhythm, dismantling an empire in real time. Or rewind to 1988, when he tore apart the rugged bad boys Pistons with 8 steals in a single game, beating them not with flashy dunks but with pure defensive violence. Even under the bright lights of Madison Square Garden, he made life miserable for Patrick Ewing and John Starks, blocking shots, shutting down everything on the perimeter, and still casually dropping 40 on the other end. The Iverson crossover may live forever on highlight reels, but it was just one bucket in a game the Bulls still won, because a single moment never rewrites a career built on defensive destruction. That's the real core of Jordan's defensive greatness. He wasn't out there padding stats. He was a precision weapon, striking only when it mattered most, reading offenses like an open book and delivering the steal, stop, or block that could swing an entire season. His defense wasn't just solid. It was a defining force, a quiet blade that made opponents fear every trip down the floor. And when you stack him against other all-time greats, the gap becomes clear. Kobe Bryant, for example, was a tremendous defender with 12 all-defensive selections. But even Phil Jackson admitted Kobe had nights where he coasted to conserve energy for the offensive load he carried. Kobe was lethal, no doubt, but he wasn't the relentless, two-way wrecking ball Jordan became in 1988, a season where Jordan didn't just dominate, he imposed fear on every inch of the court. Kobe followed Jordan's defensive blueprint, but even he recognized MJ as the original master, while LeBron, an athletic marvel with legendary chase-down blocks, still couldn't match Jordan's defensive resume, finishing with no DPOY and 6 all-defensive nods to Jordan's 9. Both Kobe and LeBron had to pace themselves over long careers, conserving energy to handle massive offensive roles, but Jordan in 1988 made no such bargains. He simply decided to be the league's best scorer and its most feared defender at the same time. That mentality is the real separator. Kobe had the obsession, LeBron had the physical gifts, but Jordan had an inevitability that made players afraid not just of his scoring, but of the very real threat that he could steal the ball, flip the momentum, and snatch the game without warning. That's why when the GOAT conversation shifts toward defense, Jordan's presence only becomes larger. Kobe tried to reach that level, LeBron occasionally flashed it, but Jordan embodied it night after night until no one could question it. Even with defensive giants like Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman beside him, Jordan's greatness didn't shrink. It stood out even more, because despite sharing the court with 2 all-time specialists, he still earned 9 all-defensive first-team selections, proving that coaches and players across the league viewed him as the defensive anchor. Pippen was the perimeter lock, Rodman was the chaos engine, but Jordan was the closer, the one who sealed the possession, the quarter, the game. That's why calling him just a scorer misses the entire truth. He was the most complete two-way weapon basketball has ever seen, a player who could drop 35 on you and then take the ball back on the next possession to make sure the damage stayed permanent. His defense wasn't some extra feature. It was half of what made him the GOAT, and without it, his legacy isn't the same. Now it's your turn. Do you think Jordan's defense is the most underrated part of his legend, or do Kobe and LeBron have defensive peaks that truly compare? Drop your thoughts below and let the debate begin. If you're riding with this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and join the family because the GOAT debate isn't slowing down. This isn't just defense, this is intimidation at its highest level. During the height of the Bulls dynasty, Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman didn't just form a strong defensive trio. They built the greatest defensive force the NBA has ever seen. Yet it's important to understand Jordan wasn't propped up by his teammates or hiding behind specialists. He was the finisher, the dagger, the presence that tightened the air in the building when the game tilted toward its most crucial moments. Even surrounded by elite defenders, Jordan's intensity only skyrocketed.